Here are 21 online reviews of the audiobook titled, Call Me By Your Name. Written by André Aciman and narrated by Armie Hammer. 1. Absolutely beautiful. Not only did Armie Hammer do a beautiful job as a narrator, but the story itself is just wonderfully crafted and riddled with intricate details. I have read many books, but never read one quite like this one. It is loving, confusing, lustful, heartfelt, and genuine. All I can hope for is a third novel explaining their relationship further after Find Me, and it go much deeper into this relationship. I can safely say this book will forever be on my shelf. Thank you to André Aciman for such a beautiful read, and thank you to Armie Hammer for making an already beautiful book so much more beautiful. 2. Not bad, but definitely not good. I was excited to read this book, as it is Pride Month and it has gotten so much notoriety. It very much lacked what I was hoping for. I can appreciate the shock factor of the peach or the bathroom in Rome, but the first half of the book seems repetitive. Not upset by the ending, as this is a story that is true for many of this time. This does a good job at general queer representation, but there are much better books with the topic of the queer community. 3. Damn. I had been putting off watching the movie for so long that when I finally did watch it I felt like I needed more. I needed more story. I need to know if the way the movie ended was it for Elio and Oliver. So I decided to find out by listening to the book. I was so pleased to find out that there was so much more story. Elio and Oliver's story is such a beautiful one that just invokes the feelings love. As I just finished the book I still find myself wanting more. I've wanted more story for months. I deliberately stopped listening in the last 8 minutes of the book just so it didn't end. André Aciman is an extraordinary writer that I will never forget and look forward to read in the future. 4. Monotonous narration and okay story. This audiobook was a struggle to get through, and Armie Hammer's emotionless voice is mostly to blame. I found myself zoning out listening to him because there was no inflection in his voice. The writing style also was just not for me. The descriptions in this book were gratuitous and discursive. The main characters were all flat, the only emotion they experienced being lust. However, I did enjoy the final part of the book since I felt that section was the most developed and most cohesive. It also could have been because I was glad it was finishing. If not for the narration and style, I think I would have enjoyed the overall story, though. 5. Watch the movie then read the book. Not sure how to feel about which I like better. I watched the movie first, which was great. So great I've watched it like 8 times in like 3 days. Maybe I should have read the book first then watched the movie, not sure, shrug. I honestly think the movie was a little better than the book. I like how everything came together. The book I enjoyed and will definitely read the second part. Fell in love with the movie, I hope to do the same with the books. I love the characters. Their chemistry. Everything. 6. Great potential. The plot has great bones, the story, however, is overworked. Every movement and nuance is overly examined and thought through. A 17-year-old is not so complex, even though Elio is educated. The character of Oliver is somewhat left wanting. We don't get to know him at all. Author's intention, likely. The heterosexual trysts are, in my opinion, a cop-out. I never thought I would say this, other than a Stephen King novel, had too many words. Amazing, but true. Oliver is really a ghost. I really wanted more character development. Elio's first time, and his afterthoughts are extremely at odds with his love, lust, and desire for his extreme passions for Oliver. We'll watch the movie and see what they do with this novel. 7. You'll wish you'd been part of the story. I have never felt so emotionally encompassed by a novel. To want to be in this place, to know the characters, to identify so closely with them in many ways, and to want to identify in so many more. To imagine this magical Italian city, that it could have been real, for them, and for you if only you'd been lucky enough to have been born into the life it depicts. Set in the not too distant past, calling you back to your own not too distant youth. 8. What a letdown. I was disappointed by the immature origin of the title of the book and the over-reliance on a maudlin phrase throughout the book. The book is not a romance, it is obsession on full display. Anyone who would find a lesson in this book has a small mind. 9. Second half was kind of a bore. All the drama hung on neither telling the other how they felt by the end of the summer. Once they did, all the tension was gone. That made the last half really drag. Also, it wasn't clear why they couldn't be in a relationship after the summer. The kid's parents were completely cool with them being together, and they both had the kind of lifestyle that could support a move to Italy, or to America. It just felt like they couldn't be together, because that's what the story demanded. 10. Wow, just wow. I loved the movie, and then coming to the book, finding out some stuff that, like you all know, never make it to the screen, but like wow, hearing the book read by Army was nice. I just wished our little Elio Timothy would have read too, but as Army read I can visualize how this whole book went, mostly the parts that I remember seeing in movie. To some the movie was okay, but when you first experience the beauty and hard work is something you'll never get to see if you're not excited for how the movie portrayed the book. Overall I loved them both. 11. A work of art. First, let me say that Armie Hammer narrating this amazing novel was pure perfection. He starred in the movie as Oliver, but his narration of the book, which was all Elio's perspective, was beautiful. As for the book itself, it is breathtaking and truly a work of art in both words and imagery. It is the kind of story about life, love, and longing that stays with you, almost haunting your senses. It is a coming-of-age story, as well as a story about two men who fall in love, but it is also so much more. It goes beyond the parameters of time and exists as a parallel universe and what could have been, and the real humanness of it all. It shows us how powerful love can be, not boastful, but a quiet power that reaches into the depths of the human heart and soul. It is a book that challenges you to acknowledge the rawness of life and love and the contentment with one's true self. I cannot recommend this book enough, and the audiobook is an amazing experience in itself. I have now read the physical book, listened to the audiobook, and watched the beautiful film adaptation, and I will never tire of this bewitching narrative. 12. Mixed bag. I'm not sure how to feel. Elio is a pretty unsympathetic character to me, as, in order to denote the lunacy of desire, the author at one point has him behave and think like a psychopath, basically just gave him all the red flags to wave around. The author also dragged out the first 2 sections in order to underscore Elio's torture, which made it extremely difficult to get into the book to begin with. The last 2 sections, however, has an uncanny element of realness though, which I appreciated. The retrospection, and the examination of life paths was probably the most intriguing part. Then again, maybe that's just because I'm a monogamous gay demisexual and judged without meaning to. 13. No plot in this low-key fantasy novel. Struggled to finish it. Thought that the author had not actually lived through meaningful sexual encounters in his life. I did not enjoy that the protagonist felt trapped by the man that he was attracted to. The description of the derivation of the apricot was a bit overdone. There was nothing beautiful about the human mind and sexuality in this book. It bordered on a pornographic account of one man's lust for another to the point that it was indecent. Why didn't the author just describe beautiful and fulfilling sex between the characters instead of describing all the shameful and rebellious feelings that the author shared on homosexuality? I was hoping that the writing style would get better, but after an hour of listening, it simply got worse. Being married, I feel completely liberated in my sexual experiences, and do not have to write about it. 14. Outstanding story. The story took me back to several relationships I had growing up where romance was earned over a period of time and never forgotten. The backdrop of Italy is astounding and the storyline as well developed. We only regret was that the narration was for a young man or late teen boy, but the narrator was a very deep voice throughout. The development of thoughts of the main characters are extremely well done and very well versed in the book. A meticulously told story with a long and completely satisfying ending. 15. Chills. Lots of tears. Beautifully written. This book sent chills down my spine, made me cry, made me smile, and turned me on. What more could you want in a book? For those reasons, this will always be one of my all-time favorites. The one bad thing I have to say is about the ending. So disappointing. It feels very anticlimactic and doesn't have the same emotional impact as the rest of the book. 16. Cloying teen angst. Ooh boy. Oy vey. I'll be real, I would have never picked this up if not for the film, which I haven't watched yet, but am intrigued by, and for Armie Hammer's narration. Oz's voice brings a certain sensitivity to this non-story which makes it bearable. I'm about halfway through the book, but finding it difficult to continue, because it is nothing but the melodramatic, lust-filled inner ramblings of a teenage boy. How he has come to be filled with so much angst is not explained nor touched upon. His life is pretty idyllic and he has nothing to complain about, except for his intense and all-encompassing crush on Oliver. The object of his affection is playing coy, of course, which adds to his turmoil. I may be cursing this review for saying so, but the dark, obsessive, and brooding tone of Elio's monologues brings novels like Twilight to mind. What makes this better then, I ask myself. The setting? The subversive gay romance? I'm grasping for the answer, and justifying the reasons to myself because they did, after all, make an Academy Award-winning film out of this. I'm going to power through the rest of this book and perhaps a mind-blowing ending will change my mind, but at this rate, I'm not too hopeful. 17. Love and desire seen as they should. Armie Hammer voice is perfect for Elio, the younger of the couple. Soothing, at times languid and lamenting, but never out of tune, Hammer's voices make the characters come alive. The mispronunciation of Italian words are easily overlooked but can be distracting. Call Me By Your Name is just as it sounds, a journey of self-knowledge through mirroring. Unforgettable. 18. Beautiful romance. Painful to listen to a young romance that has some much intimate build-up to the main characters coming together. It becomes more somber to the end, but the intimacy remains even after years apart and wondering. I would have wished the end portion of the book would have done more for moving past your first love, but overall fantastic. 19. Beautifully heart-wrenching. Wow. This author writes so beautifully I am at a loss for words to describe it. So many parts of this book I found myself relating to in such an odd ironic way. It was so peaceful yet mentally taxing all at once. Honestly, depending on where you are at in life this book will have a different meaning to you. These feelings that this book has struck up in me I feel will linger for a long while. Overall, I believe it's an excellent book for provoking such emotions. 20. Holy crap, it's almost porn. I really like this book, but holy crap is it so hard to listen to. Like if you thought that the movie was a lot, you are in for a whole new world of holy shit that just happened kind of moments. Like the reader is good. But the number of times I have stopped the book and walked around my room saying holy shit is an astounding number of times. I love the story. I think that in a weird way it's kind of more relatable than most romance/coming-of-age books or films. It made my whole body cringe, but in the moments where I think you are supposed to. I think that it's a really book and movie, so read it. It's a good book and I'm sure that I will listen to it again. 21. Incredible. Great narration. For those who have watched the movie, don't let Armie Hammer's narration scare you off. When I first began to listen, I was worried that I would be confused hearing Elio speak with Oliver's voice. The book is told from Elio's POV. I can assure you that by 10 minutes in, that won't be an issue. Amazing story. Listening to this made rewatching the movie so much better too, because you can really know what Elio is thinking. Loved this book. Thank you for watching. Please, do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Tune in for more online audiobooks reviews.